Hey everyone, welcome to today's lesson. My name is Wes, and this is Interactive English, the channel that is all about just trying to help you practice and improve your English skills. And today we're going to work on your listening because when you're learning a language, listening is very important. So we're going to practice our listening skills, and I'm going to have you listen to a couple of different sentences, a couple of stories, and we're going to use that to help you improve just your overall language skills, which is why I titled Listen and Learn. And we're going to work on identifying, learning new vocabulary, and just when you hear a word that you don't know and trying to put that word in context and understand the meaning of that word. We're also going to practice just identifying the main idea, making sure you comprehend most of what you hear. We're going to talk about key details as well as making inferences. And if you don't know what inferences are, it's when you're using the information that you know in order to infer other information. For example, if I say that my wife just walked in and she's carrying an umbrella that's wet, then when you hear that, an umbrella that's wet, you can infer that it's probably raining outside. We're going to start with something that is a little easier, and then it'll get more difficult. Actually, it'll get much more difficult, which I just hope that you are ready to listen. Let's start with trying to, if you encounter a new vocabulary word and you want to be able to put that word in context. So I'm just going to give you a simple sentence, and I want you to listen to it, and then I want you to tell me what this word means. The teacher chided me for texting in class. That is the sentence. The teacher chided me for texting in class. And I want you to tell me, what does it mean to chide someone? The more you listen to it and read it and you encounter this word, you'll be able to use it and make it part of your vocabulary. Here is the sentence, and I'll give you the meaning. So the teacher chided me for texting in class. To chide someone, it means to scold or reprimand angrily. Now that you know that if you are chiding someone, that you are talking to them in a way that you are a little angry, you're upset with this person, and you're like, no, don't do that, don't do that. Now that you know the meaning of that word, let's use it and we'll make an inference, okay? So I'm going to give you another sentence, and let me tell you the sentence, and then I'll tell you what I want you to do. So again, just listen to what I'm going to say. Say, Mom chided us for playing baseball inside the house. Mom chided us for playing baseball inside the house. And my question to you is, well, why? Why might she do that? Why might the mother chide the children for playing baseball inside the house? And in this case, I'm asking you to make an inference. And I want you to think about the other things that are going on or things that could happen. So you know the situation. Mom chided us for playing baseball inside the house. But why? That is my question. Why do you think this is happening? There is no wrong or right answer. It's kind of just trying to get you thinking in a different way. Because you're not only, when you're listening to the information, but you want to be able to comprehend more than just directly what somebody is saying. So here is the sentence. I said, Mom chided us for playing baseball inside the house. I told you there are many things that you can infer about this. For me, when I would think about this, I would think, well, something could break, maybe a window, or perhaps maybe they did break a window, and that is why they are being chided, or perhaps it happened in the past. But playing baseball inside the house, yes, something could definitely break. That's kind of just like a warm-up that I wanted to give you, that you hear me say these simple sentences and just you're maybe trying to learn a new word and try to figure out the meaning by putting it in context. And then we use that word to make an inference about some of the other information that you hear. So now we're going to get into, we're going to go from easy to definitely more difficult. What I'm going to do now is I am going to give you a story. I'm going to tell you a story, and I just want you to listen to it and just think about what I'm saying. And it may help to put a picture in your mind. I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to practice key details, the main idea, new vocabulary. We're going to do a little bit of everything. So this is a longer story. I'm going to read it. I'll read it twice. And then I have 5 questions for you about this story. I'll read it to you. I just want you to listen carefully, okay? So here is the story. My friend Dave traveled to the Big Apple for the weekend to attend his friend's bachelor party. He promised that he would write me a postcard. I never got one. I saw Dave 5 days after he returned from his trip. I noticed his hand was in a cast. When I asked what happened, he said he fell down the day before he flew out and he hadn't been able to use his hand. Jokingly, I asked about the postcard. He told me that he wrote one, but it must have gotten lost in the mail. I suspected that Dave was not telling the truth. After all, he is a southpaw. Okay, all right. That was a lot of information that I just threw at you. I don't think the story may be too difficult to follow along, but I will read it one more time, and then we're going to go through and I will ask you 5 questions about this story right here. Are you ready? All right, listen carefully. I'll read it again. My friend Dave traveled to the Big Apple for the weekend to attend his friend's bachelor party. He promised that he would write me a postcard. I never got one. I saw Dave 5 days after he returned from his trip. I noticed his hand was in a cast. When I asked what happened, he said he fell down the day before he flew out, and he hadn't been able to use his hand. Jokingly, I asked about the postcard. He told me he wrote one, but it must have gotten lost in the mail. I suspected that Dave was not telling the truth. After all, he is a southpaw. So the first question that I have for you, and again, I'm not going to show you the question, just listen to it. What city did Dave visit? So this was at the very start of the story. I talked about my friend Dave was going on this trip, and what city did Dave visit? I did not say the specific name of the city. It's more of a nickname. The Big Apple is another name. It's a nickname for New York City. So this is where my friend Dave traveled, all right? I gave you some information about this situation. He's in New York City, the Big Apple. Based on what you know, what you listen to, what event may he go to in the future? Dave may go to this, it's a big event that somebody would have, and it's going to happen in the future. I gave you the information that you could infer, okay, this is probably what he's going to do. Bachelor party is what I want you to use to infer what event he will go to in the future. Dave is likely to go to his friend's wedding. So if you don't, in this case, you need to know what a bachelor party is. And if you don't know what a bachelor party is, before someone gets married, the bride or the groom, maybe the groom would have a bachelor party and his close friends will get together and they go have this party, maybe in another place. In the future, Dave will likely go to his friend's wedding. I told you that Dave hurt his hand. So this is definitely more detail. When Dave and I met, so I'm telling you the story about Dave and I. When Dave and I met after his trip, how many days had it been since he hurt his hand? So Dave hurt his hand, and then some of these things happened. I saw Dave when he got back from his trip. How many days had it been? since he hurt his hand. So in this case, you really need to think about there was some specific information that I gave you, but then you need to think about the situation like the bachelor party. So the correct answer I'd say about 7 or 8, okay? And the reason why I say that is because remember, in the story we're talking about, he said he hurt his hand the day before leaving. I said that he's gone for the weekend, which is 2 days. And I said, I saw Dave 5 days after he got back. So he returned from the trip and then 5 days passed. And then that's when I saw him. So you could say 5 plus 2, 7 works. If you want to count the same day that he hurt his hand, then you could say 8. So that was definitely a little more difficult. All right, the next question. Dave was going to send me a postcard. He didn't send it, all right? Was I angry about the postcard? Do you think, was I angry that my friend Dave did not send me a postcard on his trip to New York City, the Big Apple? And what word did you hear that tells you either yes or no? The key word that I want you to focus on was that, I don't know if you remember specifically, the sentence said, jokingly, I asked about the postcard. So jokingly was the word, it's an adverb. It means you're just joking around. I'm teasing like, hey, why didn't you send me my postcard? That was the word that kind of tells you that I was not upset. All right, and then the last one, which I think is certainly going to be maybe a little more challenging, and I didn't say this, which hand did Dave injure? And how do you know? So I talk about Dave's hand, well, I didn't say which hand, was in a cast. A cast, if you don't know what a cast is, if you perhaps hurt your arm and you break it, and they put that mold around your arm so you can't move it. In this case, if it's a hand, maybe if somebody, maybe they break their wrist, maybe the doctor would put a cast around your hand and you just can't move it. And that's what a cast is. The key word is the word southpaw. And if you don't know what a southpaw is, what it means originally was talking about somebody who boxes left-handed, or in baseball, somebody who throws left-handed. But you could use it as an informal term to talk about somebody who just does something left-handed. So I said that I knew Dave was lying, or I suspected he was lying. After all, he is a southpaw. So Dave is left-handed, all right? If Dave hurt his left hand and his hand's in a cast, which means he can't write because he's a southpaw, he's not able to write, he broke his left hand. And in case you didn't know, fun fact about me is that I am a southpaw. I'm left-handed. I write left-handed. I throw left-handed. So this is the way that we were listening and learning and improving your skills. And again, if you like what we do here at Interactive English, you can sponsor and support our channel. There are YouTube memberships, Patreon. We offer different rewards, and there are links in the descriptions. I'm really happy that you guys joined me today. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please go ahead. Hit that like button. That way I know, okay, you learned something today, or you found that this was useful and helpful. So thank you guys, and I will see you next time.